tonight is primarily a listening session. Board of Selectmen is here to hear your concerns, and for the most part, there'll be minimal Q&A. There's not a lot of information that you know or we know that's any different than what was presented at the June 16th 25% hearing.
Are you recording?
With that said, it's important to remember that
to get close to them, so you have to walk over.
MassDOT has agreed to come back to the town of Williamsburg in August after public comments are responded to. So the public comment period is open until the end of this week, July 16th. MassDOT will respond to each of those comments, and then in a month's time, they'll come back and hold a public information session that's able to answer those comments in a more substantive way. And that's part of the reason they're not here this evening, is that they don't have a lot of answers to the questions that you brought forward thus far. Any questions from, yes sir?
Yeah, should written comments be addressed to you?
No, written comments should be directly sent to MassDOT. They will respond to each individual comment that's submitted to them. If you go to the town's website, the first link under the news section, there's a little page about the 25% here, and there's contact information for the representative and MassDOT will take your comments. Any other questions before we kind of get started? So I think Julia has provided, we have a small presentation that's going to kick this off. Is that, do you know, speakers lined up?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to pass this around. If you are planning to speak, please sign in. Again, just name and address and contact information. And there'll be a pen there. So again, just pass this around. And what we'll try to do is after the presentation. You did have speakers lined up. Okay, so just a little brief order of operations. We'll listen to the presentation. Julia's informed me about 7 or 8 people that have already agreed to speak.
Okay, so they'll be speaking during the presentation.
Okay, oh, they'll be speaking during
Yeah,
the
so they're all
presentation.
going to, and then it open up to just everyone else who wants to speak in addition.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay.
So we have a presentation. About 7 or 8 people will be commenting throughout that presentation. Then, if people wish to give comments to the board, we'll kind of go in as orderly fashion as we possibly can. Hand raising works pretty effective, so we'll try that. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns before we get started? So this is a public meeting of the select board. So I guess at the hour of 6 o'clock, I guess we would call this meeting.
I'll call the meeting of the select board to order at 6:00.
Floor is yours.
Thank you very much for hearing us about the DOT project to reconstruct Mountain Street. I was just going to run through an agenda of the petition, the current design, which is alternative 5, out of the select board meeting presentation around the proposed design, alternative 4 process, and then requested next steps.
Little after
I'm sorry, guys. That's
You need to
yeah.
basics.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Can't even sit down and say something you like.
Oh, yes.
Mix the next maybe?
Yeah. Okay.
So you can see it.
Right. Okay. So there are a number of speakers that have requested to speak and are prepared to speak during this presentation, and then we'll just open up the floor. But we wanted to start with kind of where this started for a number of us who are here to just learn about this process, which is with the reading of the petition that we circulated. And for that, if you could just identify yourself in terms of, kind of on
So this is the petition that we submitted. I am Donna Gingrass. Basically, I have lived on Mountain Street my entire life. I now live in my childhood home, and it's at 84 Mountain Street. So I've seen it all. I want to read this petition to you. Whereas Mountain Street's reconstruction, initiated by the town of Williamsburg with Mass DOT, will fundamentally alter the footprint of this 250-year-old historic road by straightening, curving, and widening it, as well as carving through fields and slopes of the 2.8-mile stretch from the Whately line to the conjunction of High Street and Kingsley Avenue. Mountain Street has become a GPS smartphone throughway for the past decade, leading to increased speeds, where cars routinely pass other vehicles up to and above the 60-mile-an-hour limit, or threatening the safety of those who bike, drive, walk, live, and farm upon it. Heavy 18-wheel commuter freight trucks, neither limited by weight nor speed, bypass state routes and highways, pounding this low-elevation basin and rattling homes. One home had a china cabinet that shattered because of the traffic going through. The accelerating damage to the road, where the road straightening will eliminate speed calming curves and widening will increase traffic. Mountain Street in Haydenville is inclusive of the original land grant to Captain Jonathan Warner. It is the site of the Warner 1776 Centennial Farm. It is a designated scenic road in the state that wishes to preserve the aesthetic integrity of scenic and historic roads. It is still a farm road where hay is harvested, cattle and sheep are raised for meat, chickens for their eggs, and this is a right to farm town. It's traveled regularly by regional residents, visitors, commuters, commercial trades, and farm vehicles, bicyclists, and pedestrians. It is home to significant wetlands, birds, and aquatic life, and it is a country road cherished for its unaltered traditional beauty. Therefore, respectfully, the signatories request the Mass DOT a design that will repair and reconstruct Mountain Street without widening, straightening, or curbing it, and allow for justified new drainage to protect the backup reservoir belonging to the city of Northampton that serves its residents. To increase the 10-day public response period following the release of the 25% design of the project file 607231 at the public hearing of June 16, 2021, to 6 months, thereby giving residents equal time to the state's multi-year design period. Furthermore, the signatories request that the Massachusetts State Representative and Senator to hold the committed state funds for the remaining 75% design process until the residents have been allowed a thorough review in response to the design for the period of up to, but not limited to, 6 months, and to join with constituents in seeking a design that will not straighten, widen, or curve the country road, both for those who travel the 2.8-mile stretch for minutes a day, as well as those who reside permanently on it. Furthermore, the signatories respectfully request that the Town of Williamsburg Board of Selectmen address the need for vehicle, bicycle, and pedestrian safety on the road by reducing the 40-mile-an-hour limit to 35 miles an hour limit, and to further limit the speed and weight of the high-weight freight traffic and endorse the redefinition of project file 607231 that does not widen, straighten, or curve Mountain Street, but rather significantly scales down the estimated federally and state-funded $13 million project to comport with the road's existing footprint that meets the justifiable drainage need on behalf of the city of Northampton backup reservoir for its residents. Thank you.
Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna Lawrence. I live on High Street, and I also grew up on Mountain Street, so I've lived my whole life on either end of the street. This is a petition that was just circulated among the High Street, Kingsley, Edwards, Maple neighborhood. So those of us who are not, our front yards aren't going to have a wide street that will really affect us. We, the undersigned residents of the Haydenville Village, the streets surrounding High Street, stand opposed to the Mass DOT Mountain Street reconstruction project for the following reasons. Plans for reconstruction essentially turn Mountain Street into a small highway that then would bottleneck into the narrow streets of the Haydenville Village. This would fundamentally alter our densely populated and historic village by bringing increased traffic and trucking to the narrow streets of our village, a place full of kids, walkers, runners, dogs, and parents pushing strollers. Many commercial trucks, including many large semi-truck trailer trucks, already inappropriately use our road as a cut-through between Route 5 and Route 9. Widening Mountain Street would increase that traffic. Widening Mountain Street would also increase speeds. This would in turn increase speeds on High Street and the neighboring streets. Speeding is already a problem on High Street, as the frequent police presence for speed traps shows. Spending $13 million on a 2.8-mile stretch of rural road to create what will feel like an unwanted highway is an unnecessary expense. Yes, the road needs to be maintained, but this project goes far beyond what is necessary. That money should be used to fix problems, not to create new problems that require expensive solutions. And finally, the residents of the village of Haydenville must have a voice in the decision to reconstruct Mountain Street, as it would have a huge impact on us.
I'm just gonna stand over here. So far we've received 119 signatures. The 36 on Mountain Street, 63 on Kingsley. Well, I am making this presentation, most of the research and a lot of the commentary has been done by many other people on both roads. And of course, I certainly do not speak for all people, but I will say the people who did sign, people I did talk to, 95% of those signed the petition. I believe that's true of Anna as well. The map just
speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry, that would be true of Anna as well. The map can give you a picture of that. So this is on Mountain Street, Sunburst and okay,
That's Mountain Street.
and the other street.
Could you explain what we're looking at for everybody?
Yeah, I'm sorry, these are just the block of all the people who signed the petition.
Red highlighted.
Red highlighted
Red highlighted the addresses of the signers.
of the petition signers.
Mountain Street, High Street.
Yeah, get those in church.
Most of the
Get
people
those
that
in
I've spoken to share some assumptions are certainly for
Get those in church,
safe
yeah.
roads that ideally are going to retain rural character that accommodate local users, including those who ride or bike or walk on its 2.8-mile stretch, and those who live on it permanently. That it is in good condition, has drainage and wetlands protection. Almost every person on public trip is concerned about the impacts of 40 miles per hour, especially the overages on those speeds, both on Mountain Street and on the other roads, and the commuting, not local, but semi, 18-wheeler trucks, we're talking about our local businesses. So current design, alternative 5, the full detail was presented at a DOT hearing on June 16th, so I'm not going to go into all the detail of that. Mostly, this is a response to that design and for a number of people who are commenting on that to the town as they consider their next steps going forward. Oops, sorry. Yeah. And there is a recording of that hearing available if people want to hear that. Okay. This is reconstruction. We know 13 million, 2.8 miles. It's 80% federally and 20% state funded. Straightening and widening is important because it has a lot of impacts, and that's one reason we've gotten very focused on that. It does straighten Mountain Street in 4 different locations to create a uniform road by removing traffic, which results in removing traffic calming curves. It widens the road, which is at a 24.4-foot average to 28 feet paved, plus an additional 2-foot grading on either side for 32 width across, which from a 24 average number, that's about a 50% width increase. It reduces the lane width. Right now is between 12 and 10 feet, or actually it's 11 and 13 feet. It averages about 12 feet, and it reduces that lane to 10 feet, which can be a concern for what appears really to be our local traffic, trade traffic that is often utility traffic that is often more like a 10.5-foot width. And it also creates 4-foot bike lanes at the shoulder. There's some questions around safety of that, the safety impacts, and safety is a big important reason for this project. And being able to accommodate those trade and utility vehicles. So there are a couple of figures that we can look at there. So if you're looking at some of the single unit truck, tractor trailer, 10.5-foot passenger cars, light trucks, 9-foot, but up to 10.5 feet. Next. So this is the alternative, but we have some questions particularly around the meeting of safety for bicyclists in particular. Is that the Complete Streets program is a driving program for municipalities around road construction, paid for by the federal and state government and engineered through DOT. And that is a key question for us in terms of optimal bike safety, and also is the widening therefore worth it. The design elements for widening apply to Mountain Street because Mountain Street, unlike the lower streets, as I understand, are not local roads, but a major rural collector. And it's a connector between highways, particularly 9, 5, and 91, even though Mountain Street itself does not actually connect to any of those routes. Rather, it's basically sandwiched in the middle of a string of roads over different towns or farms through Haydenville Road. And the design is described sort of as like an 8-mile route, like a stretch, for the purpose of connecting people, drivers, between state routes and highways. Something unique about Mountain Street is that at its southern end, it not only does not connect to Route 9, but it funnels into densely populated roads, High Street, Kingsley, Hatfield, and others, as entry points for traffic, and of particular concern to them, semi-truck traffic. This is a photograph by one of the residents on High Street, which just gives a sense often of the turning radius onto the road and the extent to which I even heard of someone recently talking about a similar truck turning into Hatfield Road. From June 18, 2020, speed. So speed is clearly an issue for a lot of people. And I think because of kind of the GPS highway that we now live on, that seems to come up more than almost anything else that I've heard. And certainly the board has heard it